Okay, so it's controlling the flow into the stomach. So it's going to be that right here. And if you think of the other name, right, cardiac sphincter muscle, because it's right by the heart. And that's actually the valve, like when you have acid reflux, that's not working properly, so you have material traveling back up. So sometimes it feels like your heart hurt or like you're having a heart attack. So that's because that cardiac sphincter valve isn't doing its job.
What would you like to call it, either one?
Yes, you can call it either one. If I were you, I would probably call it cardiac sphincter muscle because that's easier to spell than esophageal. That's just me. But if you use esophageal, you have to use lower because there's also an upper esophageal sphincter muscle. So, okay, stomach. This is her stomach. She has a really small stomach. It's atrophied quite a bit. So this is, yeah, there it is.
How big are they normally?
I mean, it depends because they can vary greatly depending on the size of the person and stuff like that, but, you know, substantially larger than this. But if you figure she was wheelchair bound and had dementia, she was probably eating liquid foods for God knows how long, so that would be why there's so much atrophy here. I mean, that's, you know, best guess. Fundus body pylorus. So, because this is, so body of the stomach, okay, and then let me double check. We'll have to come to an agreement because I honestly don't know if I would consider this part of her stomach or if this is the beginning of the small intestine, so I'll have to clarify with him to make sure we're all on the same page. So, rain check on those guys. Okay, pyloric sphincter muscle. So that's going to be the sphincter muscle that's controlling the stuff leaving the stomach. And I'm going to say that, I don't know, is that part of her stomach? I don't know. Because it's such a not textbook anatomically, you know, what you expect to see stomach. I don't know. But the pyloric sphincter muscle connects or controls what's leaving the stomach and going into the small intestine. Okay, so this is obviously going to be the first part of the small intestine. Pyloric sphincter muscle, I'm going to say it's that one. Okay, or somewhere thereabouts. You don't actually see the sphincter muscle, but you know it lives there. Okay, so then you've got the three parts of the small intestine. So the order in which food would flow. So first part's going to be the duodenum. Okay, then as you travel, let's see, let's figure this out. I haven't even looked at this yet. The duodenum is going to be larger in diameter, and then the ileum gets smaller. We'll see about there, becomes the ileum. It's not like there's a definitive line where, it, you know, I mean, it transitions from one to the other. Okay, but you can see, right, pretty clearly the size difference between that and that. Okay, so you can use that. So duodenum.
So you said it's the duodenum, then the ileum?
Yeah, the duodenum's the first part of the small intestine. Then you have the ileum. And then the last part is the jejunum. Jejunum, people say it all sorts of ways. You'll hear duodenum. And that's technically the way it belongs.
I say duodenum just for spelling
For
purposes.
spelling. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and then if it's pinned, it's not going to be something, you know, halfway in between the middle. Maybe it's this, maybe it's that, right? It's going to be obviously towards the end of the small intestines, which would be,
Towards the end of the
yeah, the very last part is the ileum. Duodenum, then jejunum, then the ileum.
You said it. Yeah, you said it.
I did it wrong?
Yeah.
Glad I corrected myself.
Yeah, you did.
Okay,
so say it again.
Duodenum, jejunum, ileum.
Ileum.
If you forget that, okay, and I guess this is why. So this right here, this pouch, which is probably the next thing on your list. No, it's not. You have the intestinal wall, which is that the model over there. So the next thing, as you move down, the cecum. And so this pouch right here is going to be considered, that's what's the first part of the large intestine. Okay, so the ileum, the last part of the small intestine. No, she does not.
Oh, she doesn't.
No,
Okay.
I was really sad.
I see that.
The appendix is really cool. No, because it could be an application question, some kind of follow-on, you know. So don't cross it off, but she doesn't have it visible.
But it would
on
usually be.
It comes, yeah, right here
Right
on the
in there.
cecum, somewhere about there. And it's really cute because it's only about that big and it looks like a little wormy thing.
Yeah.
I think it's cute. Well, the last cadaver was the first one that had an appendix, and I just found it one day, and I was really excited.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the ilium, the cecum, you have in
It was
between
interesting.
those the sphincter muscle that's going to control movement from the small intestine to the large intestine, ileocecal valve. Okay, so nice and intuitive. Ileocecal valve. So it's going to be the sphincter, or the what's controlling, what's leaving the ileum and going into the cecum. So thereabouts. Okay, they're not like big structures that you can see, but.
Pretty much looks like on that board.
Yeah, and it would.
Which valve
I'm
is
trying
here?
to think if it's. See, you probably wouldn't say which valve, right? Because that's giving away
Yeah,
a little too much
sure.
info. So, I mean, it would be clear that it wasn't asking for the intestine, that it was asking for the valve. And I don't remember exactly how, but. Okay.
In the home stretch?
Yep.
Okay.
We did have one question though.
What was our question?
Stomach.
Oh,
The fundus.
just because her stuff. I mean, is this part of? This is part of her stomach
That's it,
still.
yeah. Mhm.
So the anatomy. So you would just have the body.
Yeah,
The-
where the cardiac sphincter is,
Mhm.
normally there's a little loop, which is that portion there. But that cheetah has very little of any of that, so mainly all you have is the body.
Okay.
And then you have to stretch about that big, which is the pyloric.
Okay, the pylorus. Okay.
So that last inch and a half, maybe. Yeah,
Okay. There it is.
I swear she had surgery.
Because that's you look at that. It's
Yeah, something right.
okay. Everybody cool? All right. So then we have the large intestines. So again, first part of the large intestine is going to be the cecum, and the large intestines are really cool because they're very intuitively named, and they happen to be full of lots of good stuff when you get in there. Okay, so first part of the large intestine, as it travels up, it's the ascending colon. Okay. Then you have, as it travels across, transverse colon. As it travels down, descending colon. Okay, then you have this last, literally it's S-shaped part of the colon, which is the sigmoid colon. Do you have rectum on there? And then rectum is just going to be as it gets closer to, obviously, when it exits. Okay, then you have these two flexures. So flexure, what does flexure mean? A flexure? Anybody? Flexure?
Where it flexes?
So it's going to be the point of curvature. Okay, so you have over here, this point of curvature that hangs out by the liver is going to be the hepatic flexure. Okay, and then you have this flexure over here, point of curvature that hangs out by the spleen, is the splenic flexure. Okay, so not too bad. Okay, liver, well then we'll just finish this page and then I think that's it. So obviously, liver. And we've got, see how much this dried up?
Yeah,
So
wow, it did.
fabulous. Now it's just
That's
sad.
the gallbladder.
That's the gallbladder. And then the pancreas. So the pancreas kind of hangs out behind the stomach. It pokes through. Okay, so this is it in its full view.
That's the pancreas?
This is your pancreas. And if you go on YouTube and you put in pancreas song, there's the most fabulous pancreas song
Oh, yeah,
Ever.
that's right.
ever. I'm not kidding.
It is.
You
It's
really should
cool.
do it just for a chuckle. And then it has some informative stuff in there. It talks about the islets of Langerhans and stuff.
Right, it is cool.
Okay, that's it. Right, so anatomy, not too bad. And as you go along, you'll see, tissues, functions, what these things do.
I mean, we have to know the ovaries and fallopian tubes and all that stuff too, right?
She does not have, well, she doesn't have a uterus. She has the
No
urinary
uterus?
bladder would be, is urinary bladder on there?
Yeah.
So urinary bladder is going to be here. So when she came, she was full, and then we took out whatever was in there, so it just kind of flattens out. So urinary bladder's here. Yeah, I mean, we debated whether she has one or two ovaries. I think she has two, but who am I to say? She has two ovaries. These are her ovaries. Okay, you don't see, like you did on the female cadaver from 201, the really clear, but yeah, because she doesn't have the uterus, but ovaries down in there. And you can see on this one, on the right one, she has that cystic stuff, not nearly like as extreme as the 201, but you can see that white bulge, which is gonna be some kind of cyst. Okay, because you can see right there the fimbriae. Again, they're not as pretty as on the other cadaver, but that's going to be fimbriae right there.
So that's what they come out of?
Can you point to it one more time?
The fimbriae.
Oh, let me see. Am I getting
So
it?
this
Or am I
whole,
missing- Oh, there
yeah,
it is.
mhm,
There
so
it
that's
is.
where you see the cystic stuff. And over here, see that right there? That's fimbriae.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is going to be the other ovary. Okay. Not too bad, right?
So, I mean,
That's
is
not
that
too
it?
bad.
I mean,
I don't remember. I have to look at the guidelines because I thought like your ureters are on there too. So the urinary. So next week maybe we'll do the urinary. So with the kidneys and the ureter.